Deep Shot Podcast, Season 4, Episode 27. Mike Trout.
Nick Chubb, Georgia.
Oh, dude, how did I not think of that off the rip?
Mike Trout's definitely a better player than Nick Chubb was. I mean, well, yes. I mean, Mike Trout is one of the best baseball players of all time. But I mean, how can you forget? I mean, yeah, the Nick Chubb 27 days at Georgia. I mean, will bring a tear to your eyes how beautiful it was.
So special.
Let me ask you this. What's the first play that comes to your mind when you think of Georgia Nick Chubb?
Dude, probably when his first game, when he had
same
touchdown.
It comes off. Yep.
Yeah, that was awesome. Well, welcome to another episode of Deep Shot Podcast. Week 11 of college football and week 10 of the NFL. NFL wrapping up right now. We're here on a Sunday night. We usually do these on Mondays, but due to some circumstances, unfortunate to some, but we are recording on Sundays now. Get this content out to you a little bit earlier. So really excited about that. Before we get into it, we are going to talk about a wild weekend. We had Indiana on the ropes. We had Oregon, Iowa, ugly game there. Auburn Vandy came down to overtime, a bunch of other things. ACC imploded. We're going to give you our playoff rankings. We're going to talk about the NFL today and much more. But before that, just want to make sure you guys please subscribe on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and YouTube. We have gotten a huge following on this season, and we want to keep it going. Make sure you're following on Instagram and TikTok if you're not already. We hit 1,000 followers on TikTok over the weekend. Want to say thank you all for that. And also our Helping Paws event at Mutation Brewing Company. I always can barely say it. Mutation Brewing Company is less than 2 weeks away now. We are less than 2 weeks away. So next Saturday, November 22nd is the day. And we have already got a couple donations on the Venmo. If you want to be part of that, the Venmo is at Deep Shot Sports if you can't make it, or maybe when you get there and you want to donate some more. Really excited about that. It is going to be an awesome event for an awesome cause. So let's get into the weekend here. We're going to start off with a game we really didn't talk about much last week, other than me totally botching it and saying Indiana minus 14.5 lock of the week. No one saw this coming though. Indiana wins a thriller in Happy Valley, 27-24. This is the first time Indiana has beaten Penn State in Happy Valley ever in the history of their football existence. There was the interview before the game with Cignetti where the interviewer asked him, he said, "This team's never played here." Hard quote right there. Cignetti did say it was the most improbable victory he's ever been a part of as a coach. And really it was kind of Indiana's game through three quarters. I mean, they, wasn't the whole offensive explosion that they've been used to coming in their games they've had, but they had a lead. I mean, a 20-10 lead. Penn State really couldn't do much offensively. And then in the fourth quarter, beginning of the fourth quarter, Nick Singleton ripped a 59-yard run. Penn State was able to score, go down 3, and then 2 plays later, Mendoza threw an interception where he basically just missed the safety coming across the field, and then Penn State was able to go right back down the field. Singleton had a big catch, then ran it in for a touchdown. And then Penn State does exactly what they need to do. They get a stop from Indiana. They get the ball back. They force Indiana to use their timeouts. So they got no timeouts left. But they got a little conservative, I thought, towards that end of the game situation. You got nothing to lose. You got to kind of try to get the first down, and it just didn't really seem like they were doing that. That's mainly probably because there's a head coach that's not supposed to be a head coach and all of that stuff. But Indiana gets the ball back a minute 20 to go. First play, they get sacked, and then Mendoza and the boys just go on a run. Some call it a Heisman moment. I don't have opinion on that, I guess, maybe, but
I'll say it. I mean, that was definition Heisman moment, kind of, honestly. I mean, that was a Heisman level drive. I mean, you're talking about there ain't many guys that are doing that under that kind of pressure on the road and to perform like that. And yeah, it's really a good Heisman moment for him because I don't feel like he's had one yet this year, but like now it's like stamped in everybody's mind. Okay, well, this guy's for real.
Yeah. And like I said, the drive they went down on the field was insane. It was capped off by the incredible catch by Omar Cooper Jr. Does not get any better than that catch of the year. I mean, the foot control, the hover 1 foot around while getting the toe in, it was just cinema. That's why you watch college football right there. I wanted to shout out Charlie Becker, a wide receiver for Indiana. So Elijah Surratt didn't play in this game, who's been like the star receiver, number 13 for Indiana, if you haven't been paying attention. And Charlie Becker, number 80, came into this game, 7 catches all year, had 7 catches in the game for 118 yards, including that big snag on the 5-yard line towards the end of the drive. Just an exciting white wide receiver. And props to Indiana. They got a huge win, start 10-0 in back-to-back seasons. They had never done that before Cignetti got there.
Yeah, no, it's a huge win, and I'm going to silence some haters real quick because I don't know if y'all saw some, but I saw a lot of people trying to say this is a bad win in a lot of ways for Indiana, like, oh, they should have taken care of business. This shouldn't even have been a game, yada, yada, yada. I'll say this, man, on the other side of the football for Penn State, regardless of their 3-6 now record, they have 5 stars everywhere. Every single game that you play in Happy Valley is going to be a tough place to go. And I think Indiana's resolve yesterday was quite impressive. And most of the times you are going to have 1 or 2 of these every single season, especially when you're playing in the SEC, playing in the Big Ten. You're going to have a game that things start going wrong for you. You're up 20-10 this whole game. You think everything's going to go good. Boom, a quick run. Boom, a turnover. Then just like that, you're down. And
yeah, I agree. It was a huge win for them. And I don't know about you guys, but personally, my Twitter algorithm is basically nothing but SEC versus Big Ten arguments. And it is, I just want to say to the Big Ten people, that's a game. This is college football. That's what happens. Everyone's dogging the SEC. Alabama plays a close game in South Carolina. Georgia got these close games. This is football, man. This is what happens. So just to kind of follow up on
it's college football. It's also conference games. These guys know each other. Yada yada yada. It's I was not very concerned with it. In terms of that this makes Indiana not a good team. I think that whole thought process is quite stupid, honestly. And then, to talk about that catch from Omar Cooper, that's enough to make a tear run down your thigh. That was an absolute snag.
Man, that thing was moving, dude. You was really letting him out there.
Yeah, no, but listen, man, I think Mendoza, I'll say another thing about Mendoza. So he did not play his sharpest game for the vast majority of this game. He didn't play his best. He looked, quite mid, for lack of a better term. But when the going got hard and they absolutely needed him, he came through in a really big way. And I don't know about y'all, but when Mendoza got sacked on that first play of the game-winning drive, I thought it was wraps. I thought it was over. I'm like, dang, now they're
classic Penn State, though. Classic Penn State choking.
The ghost of James Franklin, some are saying.
Caleb, what'd you think?
It would have been hilarious, in my opinion, if they would have won this game. And I actually was with my girlfriend watching this game, and I was like, if they win this game, it'll be like the first one they've done in years, and it's because they fired the coach that couldn't win them. And this was like the spot that nobody expected that to. Like, you thought they could maybe cover, but nobody's thinking Penn State's going to just beat Indiana outright like a wagon all year. But yeah, that fourth quarter drive, incredible. Just being able to rally, it's like 2nd and 21 or something like that, and you're able to get a first down after that and continue to move the ball down the field to score at the very, very end. And man, the game turned very quickly too. Like, it was Penn State ripped a long touchdown. Now, I think it was Nick Singleton ripped a long run, and then they scored after that. Mendoza throws a pick the next drive. Then they go score again, and all of a sudden the game is upside down. And it looked like you said, Indiana was going to just be able to salt it away with their same old type of football. Maybe they were going to rip off an explosive. Never happened. Penn State had some very apparent fire to how they were playing, especially on the defensive side of the ball, in my opinion. I think some of those guys were up. I wrote down they have some psychos on defense. I think they were just crazy out of their mind enough for this game to be able to play way, way, way up. And that's probably Penn State's potential, y'all, to be honest with you. I know that Franklin is gone and Drew Aller's not the quarterback anymore, but Grunkemeier's not he's not worse than Drew Aller was playing earlier in the year. I think he's a serviceable quarterback. Looked most of the part for the game, in my opinion.
Made some big throws. And to be fair, like, Penn State, yes, they've lost a lot of teams they shouldn't have. It's other than Ohio State. They've been in every game. So
this is the same team to win the double overtime against Oregon.
Yep.
Don't forget.
Okay, let's talk about Oregon though. Oregon wins a crazy, ugly game in Iowa City, Hawkins Stadium. I think that's if I'm saying it right. That's the name of the stadium. Caleb, you're making a face. Is it Hawkins Stadium?
I think it's Kinnick.
I was thinking Hawkeyes. But anyway, ugly game. Rained basically the whole time. Pass game was non-existent for the most part. Everything Iowa could want in a game. And props to Iowa, because Oregon said yet last week, I posted the clip, if Oregon got up 9-0, or I said if they got up 10-0, that this game would be over. They got up 9-0 thanks to a safety on a bad snap on a punt for Iowa, which Caleb, I thought that was interesting. Caleb's like, that probably has not happened to them in so long. When have they had a bad punt ever? But it ended up 9-0, and then Iowa kind of came back. But I mean, Oregon ran for 261 yards on this game on an Iowa defense that barely gives up 100 a game. Iowa could only ran for 101, but Iowa still, with all of that going against them, fought back, had a 10-9 lead at half. I thought Gronowski in this game made some really big deep shot throws. There was about 2 really big, like 40-yard passes he made to the tight ends, which were really big. He was good with his legs when he needed to be. He hit the 6-7 after he scored the touchdown. I mean, that was huge. But Oregon, much like Indiana, backs against the wall, on the road, playoff hopes on the line, basically, for Oregon. I mean, if they lost that game, it was going to be a rough climb for them. The final drive they had, they weren't using timeouts. They were running the ball, like they were milking that clock, and they were still throwing the ball downfield. Like even when they were in field goal range, they were going for the touchdown. They were going for the jugular, which would have been great for a cover there. But either way, an all-time dot by Moore late in that game. I mean, that was literally right in the breadbasket. Didn't have, I don't even know how to describe it. You guys are the quarterbacks, but
he threw it in a football-sized hole about
Yeah.
40 yards down the field. Is the best way to put it.
yeah. And Dan Lanning in Oregon, what a fight that is. I watched the post-game interview or presser with Dan Lanning. Guy, he is an awesome guy. I'd want to play for him. And they've got USC and Washington still, but they are in a good spot right now. Huge win for them.
Yeah, no, absolutely huge. And, kind of a gut wrencher for Iowa. I mean, it's a tough one, for them to lose. And I saw a funny tweet. I think the listeners will like this. So obviously the game gets started 2-0 on a safety. And the tweet was saying that it was actually Iowa's big plan is to throw Oregon immediately in an Iowa game. Like, oh, it's 2-0 in Iowa City. Like, this game's going to get gross. And it did get gross. It rained for like the entire portion of the game. But man, for 2 reasons I hate this for Iowa. Number one, and most importantly, they were my deep shot, and I really need wins on the season right now. And this would have been an awesome one. So that hurts, but also just the resolve of Iowa in this game. I mean, they trailed the entire game until they were able to take the lead with 1:50 left in the game on that touchdown. The entire game, and that's tough when you're facing a top 10 team, a perennial college football playoff team coming into town, and you're down and you're down and you're down and you're down, and then to fight all the way back and be able to take the lead in that manner. I mean, I hate it for the guys. I was really, really hoping that the Hawkeyes would be able to get a win. But yeah, I mean, we can't talk enough about that throw from Dante Moore. And this is another situation kind of similarly to what we were talking about with Mendoza playing a pretty bad game and then turning on the fourth quarter. Dante Moore was terrible. And he was terrible until they needed him the most on that drive. And really outside of that one throw that he made, he really didn't really do anything else like for the other, 59.
He did not have a great day.
He was bad, but when they needed him the most, he made an awesome throw. So props to him for that. Props to Dan Lanning. I mean, I think it was Caleb said it on the last episode. I mean, going to Iowa, this is one of the tougher places to play in the entire Big Ten. I mean, obviously you have your big boys in Penn State and Ohio State and Michigan, but outside of that, I mean, Iowa's right up there. So a good win for Oregon. Like I said about Indiana, you're going to have games like this every single year. You're going to have 1 to 2 of these in a game that you feel like you should be doing a much better than you are, and it gets ugly. And we've been pretty critical on this podcast of Oregon and what we've seen out of them the first 8 games of the season at this point. And I'm still not in love with them, but they definitely came through and they needed to the most.
Absolutely. Notice a little bit earlier in that game, like they were talking about how many injuries Oregon had, so maybe that's impacting their play overall. Like, they're pretty thin in a lot of spots.
Lanning said that in the post-game presser too. He was adamant about how many injuries they had. He reminds me a lot of Kirby in those post games. Maybe not as Kirby's maybe not as amped up as he is maybe back in the day. But anyway, sorry to interrupt you, but
I just am shocked that Iowa lost a rock fight because they screwed up on special teams. Like, that doesn't even, I didn't think I'd ever be able to see the day in my life where I would utter that sentence out loud. They had it, the game script was exactly what they wanted. They were able to eat up like 18 minutes on 3 separate drives in the game. Oregon only got the ball 8 or 9 times and came up big when they needed it. Dante Moore was huge down the stretch. He is clearly not the problem at Oregon if they got any offensive woes. And that injury bug is something special, especially when it happens up front. And they had a couple offensive linemen go down there in game 2. big play in the game to me was when Iowa had the ball and they were driving in the third quarter and they fumbled and it looked like the guy got his legs taken out from under him and then he put it on the ground. Keep the ball on you, pal. You know, this is a lot different of a game because, I mean, they were all but going to score just the way that drive looked. It was an 11-play drive. They were grinding down the field just like they always do. And it just felt like Oregon was getting leaned on a little bit. And then they get a little bit of a jolt just because they feel like they got something back and they're up 5 whenever they got that ball back. So that was huge. I also am shocked that Iowa actually gave up 260 rushing yards in a game at home. That is a stunning number. Whenever I looked at the box score this morning after, you know, obviously watching it yesterday, I don't necessarily check like who's got yardage, this and that during the game, just feel for it. But it didn't feel like they ran for 260, but they did. There was a couple explosives there in the second half that really bumped this number up for them that just got it done. Got it done on the road. That's what you're asking good teams to do. And like Garrison said, the schedule is still going to provide them to answer a couple more bells before this thing's over.
100%. And I felt the same way. I didn't think they ran for that much until I looked at it after. But it said a lot about Oregon to go in there and win that type of game. Okay, another ugly game, Texas Tech, BYU. Pretty much over when it started if you were watching this game. I mean, Texas Tech was a 10-point favorite for a reason. BYU could not stop that defensive line or the defense of Texas Tech in general. Bear Bachmeier was having a rough day out there. Texas Tech, all that money they spent is being put it was a good investment. We'll say that. It's a good investment that they had. You know, they only had one sack, but they were in Barry Bachmeier's face all game. They had that big forced interception in the third quarter. Perhaps the BYU's defense, you know, they played pretty physical, stopped Texas Tech from, I mean, they kicked a million field goals, it felt like. And they had that touchdown in the first quarter, just was on a crazy, you know, toe tap catch. But other than that, I thought BYU's defense played pretty well, but the talent overmatch was apparent, and I think we talked about that. Only other thing is, you know, Patrick Mahomes. Did you guys know he made those jerseys that they were wearing?
Did he?
Saw the logo on the. I saw the logo on somebody's like on the sidelines when they panned over there, and I was like, "Why is his logo on team gear?" And then I was like, "Okay, well, he probably just bought a shirt too." No, they were the jerseys. That's crazy.
I didn't know that. I didn't realize they had the Patrick Mahomes logo on it. I need to look at these. I mean,
There's some gear. Maybe it wasn't the jerseys, but I saw some coaches like stand on the sideline with Pat Mahomes logos on their chest.
Yeah, no, he said he made the jerseys. They asked him on game day. He made those jerseys, like, or his company did.
Dude, their stadium and all their stuff just has so many names. There's names everywhere. It's like Jones, AT&T Stadium, Cody Campbell Field, Patrick Mahomes is on the jerseys. Like, we see where all this money's coming from.
He said he would take it.
Hey, Tech's a good squad, though, man.
They bought and paid for it. I mean, that's no secret, but they've got good players as well. Like, you can't just put it together and not expect it to just automatically work. It's not going to always. Look at Florida State. But I think the song and dance this game is that the D-line stuffed BYU's run game and made Bachmeier try and do the thing. And he's wearing number 47 for a reason, folks. He's not throwing for 350 yards on a good team if he's got pressure in his face. And most quarterbacks aren't. That was game script 101 to me. When I thought about it on Thursday, I think we talked about it. I think if they put them behind early in the game and then forced them out of the running schemes that BYU leans on, BYU ran for 67 yards.
How many?
You can go look at the box score.
67. Oh, wow.
Oh, man. Okay. Yeah, but big win there for Texas Tech. I want to talk about Vanderbilt Auburn. This game was awesome. If you didn't watch this game, it was an instant classic. Vandy went down 17-3 in this game early. And at that point, I was making I had already made a graphic for like fraud Vandy, Diego. Like I was ready to put it out there. And I did not see it coming, but Vandy scored on all but 2 drives after that. They punted once and then they went for it on a 4th down. And when it was tied 38-38, which was questionable, Pavia fell down again, was ready to post, but they overcame it. There was over 1,000 yards of offense in this game. Both quarterbacks threw for 350. Auburn's offense showing up without Hugh Freeze in their first game, I think says a lot about, you know, what he was doing or what they weren't doing. Personally, Cam Coleman and Eric Singleton combined for 21 catches and 245 yards in this game. But Pavia, he's a story. He had 377 passing yards, 112 on the ground. Just an absolute dog mentality out of him in this game. And for them to win this game, now have a real chance. They've got Kentucky and Tennessee left on the schedule. I will say, their loss to Texas and maybe those other teams in front of them may hurt, but they might be losing. If Vandy can finish 10-2, there's going to be some real conversations.
There'll be a real conversation, and it's, I even said on the last pod, if they do go 10-2, I think there's a chance they don't get in. I still think that's legit, but it is hard. Like, if it is a 10-win SEC team, that's going to be tough. But my only real concern of this is that they will be the 5th SEC team in. You have to imagine, because no matter how it shakes out, if they do get to 10-2, unless Bama slips, Georgia slips, A&M slips, Texas slips. Texas, Georgia got to play, so that's one of them. That should probably figure itself out. But it's going to be interesting. Think if Texas beats Georgia next week, Georgia still gets to 10-2, Texas at 10-2, Vandy's at 10-2, and then Bama and A&M are in.
Yeah, but
So
if Texas gets to 10-2, that means they beat A&M.
Yep, that is also true. But I think A&M at 11-1. They're in that scenario. But yeah, it's going to be tough to get 5 teams in the SEC in. It's, I do think that the committee has shown that they love SEC football, so maybe they'd be able to do it. But to talk about this game for a second, Ashton Daniels really had a good chance at being the Deep Shot Sports Player of the Week this week if they just would have finished the drill. If you just look at, because I know last week he played and he didn't do good. He gets benched, but this is the best Auburn quarterback performance we've had, and since Bo Nix. It's been quite a while since we've seen a guy throw for 350 and run for 90 yards and 4 touchdowns overall. The guy was putting on an absolute clinic. Good to see there. You got to think, if they are able to retain this talent in Auburn, if they are able to retain it, and that's going to be tough because everyone is going to be coming after Cam Coleman this offseason. Everybody. And I think he winds up in Athens personally, but everybody's going to be coming after him. If they are able to retain it, this is going to be a dang good job because there's so much talent on this team. I just remember, when we were doing our picks episode, and I was like, why is Vandy only 6.5 point favorites? And y'all kept talking about it. I was like, well, this roster is insane. This roster's insane. The roster is insane. I did not think for a second that I was going to be able to get this cover. I'm really happy I was because, again, I need wins like I need air in our season 1 competition. But a really, really, really good win for Vandy in this one. To come back 17-3, like you said, Pavia was just doing everything out there to keep him in it. Yeah, came up good.
To start here, I want to go for a big stat I saw today. Courtesy of Cole Kublik, stat for Vandy football. Vanderbilt is now 1-170 all time when giving up 38 points in the games. First time they've ever won one in a shootout like that. So another stat to pad for Vanderbilt, that they're turning the corner on how they've been playing compared to what their program's history is. Don't buy into that. I'm with Garrison, though. My biggest takeaway is that Hugh Freeze sucks. The stat line for Cam Coleman and Eric Singleton Jr., they should have been doing this all year. These are 2 of probably the top 10 talent-wise receivers in college football coming out of last year. Portal, anybody else, you look at it on paper, and you're right, Cam Coleman's going to get $4 million from somebody this offseason, and it might be Auburn. Maybe he stays. Who knows? But Ashton Daniels should have been the guy from the jump, it looks like. He's a seasoned vet. He's played better football in his playing history compared to Jackson Arnold ever did. And I have a suspicion here that this is another case in point where a coach made a deal with a quarterback and guaranteed them starting position in their NIL contract.
Yeah, for sure.
And so that killed the whole thing. You looking at it with Jackson Arnold, and there's a guy in Gainesville, Florida, who also has that in his NIL deal too. And you see where that's going. You can't just tell people or good players, no matter who they are, hey, it's your job. You don't sweat it. Don't sweat it. No, you need some heat on your back. And I know for a fact if Ashton's playing like this against that level of defense, that the heat's been on his back since June started, and they just had to keep it quiet and just roll with their guy.
Yeah, Ashton Daniels, if you don't remember him, I remember him greatly from Stanford when he pulled off that crazy comeback against Colorado like 2 years ago. Shout out Jonathan. Me and him bet that game. It was 2023. Colorado was beating Stanford. I don't even know the score, but they were winning by like 3 or 4 touchdowns. And me and Jonathan hit both bet Stanford like plus 400. And that was the game where the receiver mossed Travis Hunter and everything. Like that was that game. And
Malik Manor.
Yeah. So talk about some other things, college football, real quick. So Georgia smoked Mississippi State. Just want to shout out Nate Frazier, Gunnar Stockton, the boys. Frazier, 12 carries, 181 yards. I was sitting here watching it with our friend Justin here, and I kept telling him, I was like, dude, Frazier just doesn't get any explosives. And then all of a sudden, it was his day. And thank God we had a win like that. That felt really nice to not be stressing for a second. Any quick thoughts there?
It was easily the most complete game we've seen out of Georgia this year. And, there's a lot of people that just want to write off Mississippi State and say, like, oh, it's Mississippi State, like, whoop-de-doo. So, okay, this is a road game in the SEC. Mississippi State has played multiple teams very well. It's the same team that just took Texas to overtime just a few weeks ago. They were beating Texas like 30-7 at one point. This is a talented bunch in Mississippi State. I say all that to say it was not like I was thinking that Georgia's on upset watch, but I was very pleased with seeing how we executed because our run game looked great. Our defense was actually able to establish pressure for the first time all season, and Gunnar made plays again. 3 touchdowns, no picks. Looked really
It was
good.
a good win. ACC had a rough day. Louisville loses to Cal 26-23 in overtime, and Virginia loses 16-9 to Wake Forest at home. A lot of people were upset about the ACC rankings in those playoffs, but Caleb, I mean, ACC has a rough day, huh?
Yeah, it was brutal for everybody, the whole conference, the conference commissioner, anybody that wants them to be any relevancy in the playoffs because they ranked them a little low. And I thought as well that it was a little unfair at the time because you just got to respect them. They're a P4 conference. But we have been proven wrong. I mean, the only hope they've got now to me is either Miami wins out or Georgia Tech wins out. Like it's either that or that. And if it's anything else, they're not getting in. The conference champ is also going to get in, obviously going to get in. But like to say a 10-2 Virginia or anything like that's going to get in the dance, I think that's crazy.
Yeah, it's hard to believe that the ACC gets 2 teams at this point, unless both Tech and Miami win out. I could see that happening, but I don't see Georgia Tech beating Georgia here in a few weeks. I mean, I don't see that happening.
At this point, I feel like it would have to be Georgia Tech or whoever winning the ACC championship. And then, Miami having the back door in there. But, like, the ACC, like, there's still, like, SMU has 1 loss, Duke has 1 loss, Virginia only has 1 loss, Georgia Tech has a loss, all in conference. So it's still kind of wide open. 2 other games. Well, there's a couple other games, but 2 things real quick. You got to talk about some quarterbacks being benched here. Bama handled LSU 20-9 last night, and Garrett Nussmeier got benched. And Florida got absolutely boat raced by the Kentucky Wildcats 38-7, and DJ Lagway was also benched.
But Kentucky's a good team, right, Caleb? Kentucky's a really good team, so it's excusable.
They're clearly not bad. I mean, they played us better than Texas or anybody in Georgia did, so they got to be pretty relevant. I don't know what the record is, but they look like they could maybe make a shot at the playoff at the end of the season. Now, this was embarrassing. Lucky enough, I went to a buddy of mine, shout out Josh, he's getting married. We went to a little bachelor trip thing in Helen last night, and I didn't have very good service. So I was able to watch until I drove out of town, and by that point, I think Kentucky was up 17-7. And whenever I was able to get back on the Wi-Fi, it was 31-7. Just a good one to miss.
I posted the clip or the thing on on the Instagram story. They had 4 turnovers last 7 plays of the first half, and I bet Florida -4 in that game, and then I live bet like +13, and I was like, "Good Lord, this is just going from bad to worse." I mean, we don't have to dog on Florida. We've done that enough. But Garrett Nussmeier got benched. Any thoughts there?
The timing of it was interesting. I mean, LSU was never really out of this game. I mean, their offense looked terrible the entire game. But, I mean, still, regardless, it was 11 points. I mean, it was 20-9. But I think the straw that broke the camel's back was that sack that he took in the red zone. I forget what down it was, but it was, I believe it was a goal. It was a goal to go situation. And he has a clean pocket to step right up in, but he decides he wants to roll out, and boom, just like that, he loses like 15 yards. I think that was it for him. I mean, talk about a guy that regrets coming back for one more year.
Yeah.
I mean, the stock is just gone. LSU just has looked terrible all year. It's not good. It's not a good situation.
He shouldn't have listened to Whit Weeks.
Oh, he did listen to Whit. He shouldn't have. Yeah, you're right. He should not have listened to Whit Weeks. Interesting situations there between 2 teams that don't have coaches and just bench a quarterback. So, to wrap up some other college football talk, Ohio State beat Purdue, smoked them. Shout out Purdue for the backdoor cover, though. A&M handles Missouri 38-17. Their defense was flying around in that game. Ole Miss beats Citadel. And Notre Dame handles Navy 49-10. Miami handles Syracuse 38-10. Washington lost to Wisconsin. And best stat of the week, Wisconsin's punter was the leading passer at 24 yards in this game and
What?
beat Washington. And if you look at that box score, it makes no sense at all. Tulane beat Memphis on Friday night 38-32, which was huge for this G5 talk we've got going on. And I want to give a quick shout out to the Kennesaw State Owls. They beat New Mexico State 24-21. They are 7-2. Only losses are to Wake Forest and Indiana, and Wake Forest was by 1 point. Haven't lost since, undefeated in the Conference USA. Maybe start talking about them for that G5 team. Shout out to the Owls. What a resurrection of a program in year 2.
Why not them? Why not? Man, it really would be interesting if they had that win over Wake Forest. It probably would be like legit, like they're right up there with like North Texas.
Yeah,
man.
Oh yeah. So shout out to the Owls. Any last thoughts before we get into our playoff bracket here?
Yeah, well, I mean, if you're going to shout out your alma mater, I want to shout out my alma mater on Thursday night, coming through with a huge win over App State. App State, dude, just it's always nice to beat App. It's always a good feeling to beat those inbreds up in Boone. It's always good.
We'll talk about alma maters tonight. I'm gonna talk about mine. Is that all right? I know this is not like Division I football.
Do it.
My college, LaGrange College, played quarterback there for a brief second. Has only won one conference championship in their entire program history. It was like in 2012, and it wasn't even like NCAA football. Until yesterday, won the USA South. Shout out to the LaGrange College Panthers for actually getting it done. The football program's been terrible. I was a part of it. I was a part of the problem, okay, and they've turned it around. So shout out the guys.
Hey, I was also a part of a terrible college football program. So it's tough.
Moral of the story, you can always turn your life around, man. No matter what's going on, if you just put the right people in the right spots, believe in the right things, you can get it done. Just ask Kennesaw State. Ask LaGrange.
Let's go ahead and reveal our Deep Shot Sports playoff bracket for week 12 going into it. What we got, Caleb?
So not much of any kind of changes at the top for the list. We've had the same top 5, I think, for actually like 3 or 4 weeks in a row now. So, or top 6, actually, if you can throw in Ole Miss. So we are Ohio State 1, Indiana is 2. We don't penalize teams for playing close games. They won a game. A&M is 3, Alabama's 4, Georgia's 5, Ole Miss 6. Okay, then we got some shakeup. Texas Tech is up to 7. Oregon is now number 8 in the country. We give a little more belief in them. Now, this is the one that the people are probably not going to like, though. Notre Dame is our number 9 team. We can talk about that in a second. Georgia Tech is number 10. Texas is the final Power 4 team to get in, and the Group of 5 admission for this week's was North Texas. And our first teams out, like for the Power 4 teams, was Oklahoma. And I put James Madison as my Group of 5 team.
There's a lot of talk with James Madison if they get in. I'm personally more of a just think North Texas should be getting more credit. That USF loss really hurts them right now, but that G5 thing is wide open. But I think Notre Dame is at this point, I mean, they're just going to be in. You might as well just acknowledge it,
Everybody else has helped around them too and like lost games. Like there's not a bunch of 11-1 teams that we're going to foresee go. And the committee is built on now rewarding teams for playing good teams and losing, whether you lose or not. Like you played a good opponent. So their 2 losses are just about as good as anybody else's in the country and played them close. They're benefiting from A&M being really damn good, in my opinion.
For sure. 100,000%. 100,000%. And, that Miami loss, I mean, I know Miami has slid a little bit, but it's not like they lost to scrubs. It's not like who they lose to was like Eastern Illinois, a few years ago. And that was like the big talk. It's like, how are we going to put this team in?
Northern Illinois.
That was last year.
Yeah. They went to
that was the whole talk. It's like, how can we put this team in? How can we put this team in? But, when your losses are, on the road to Miami, and then I guess they were at home against A&M, if my memory serves me correct. But still, it's the number 3 team in the country.
All right.
I think Texas is a huge prove-it spot. Like the number 11 spot is very prove-it at this point because, like we talked about earlier, they're in for now, but they've still got to go play Georgia and Texas A&M, which are 2 top 5 teams in our books. That they've got to, if they win one of them and lose one of them, I mean, 9-3 with a win against one of the top 5 teams in the country, are you going to hold them out over like a 10-2? What conference?
But you talking about Notre Dame?
No. Texas.
9-3. Yeah, the Texas conversation. I mean, the 9-3 SEC conversation is going to get interesting. It really is. I totally agree. Okay. let's go ahead and talk about the NFL. We're gonna have to start.
Do we absolutely have to?
We're gonna have to start. And listen, I just want to say, I just said this morning that I don't really get up and down on the Falcons. And me and Jake kind of had a little buffer there, so I decided to bring someone in who can get a little more passionate about the Falcons and maybe talk Jake down a little bit. He's got a little thing going on.
What is going on?
I don't know. I tried to green screen it. It's just like, oh, it's just bugging out. I didn't think it would do that.
All right. So yeah, I brought in Ryan Steed here to talk about the Falcons losing to the Colts 31-25. Because like I said, I try to keep emotions out of there. I wanted someone who's got some real emotion about the Falcons to talk to Jake here.
Is Jake trying to do a positive swing on it?
That's usually what he does.
I mean, Jesus Christ. I mean, like, no, okay, listen, I'll just say this, man. I mean, yeah, obviously the Falcons suck, and like the loss today, like really, really, really hurt. But like, I assume, Garrison, the reason for this is because I did like kind of come after you a little bit in the group chat today because we were winning. We were winning the game. We were winning the game. We just got a turnover. We're winning. And then I just go, this league is just all doom and gloom. Like, oh, the Falcons suck. We traded away our draft pick, all this. It's like, can we at least, listen, even in my text, I said, can we at least save this team sucks, everything for after we blow the game, which we did. But in the moment, let's at least have some positivity. Now, this team sucks and they take all the joy of NFL Sundays out of my heart, truly. But Ryan, I'll give you the floor. I just wanted to say that piece there for a second.
Well, like, if anything, it was like kind of good that they were just like fighting. I was like, okay, we got a game. Because, like the Colts are arguably like a top 3 team in the league. And I mean, I've been hearing it. The Falcons have the talent to contend with anyone. Bullshit, dude. If they were so damn good, they'd fucking be better. Like,
yeah, we do have the talent. We do have the talent.
I've been hearing about the talent for the last 3 or 4 years, and like coaching aside, eventually the talent has to be good where the play calls or whatever doesn't make a dramatic change into the outcome of the game.
Yeah, I mean, I can argue that point by saying I think so. So here's my full take on the whole like talent discussion with the Falcons. I think we have a lot of like top of the line players. Like, I mean, obviously Drake's really freaking good. Chris Winston's really good. Bijan's really good. Where we struggle, where this team struggles is the middle of the roster. That is where the drop off is just ridiculous after you get through. And we've been seeing that with our backup offensive linemen here that have been having to fill in some gaps, getting abused on a weekly basis. Seeing with JD Bertrand, who made a big stop today on a 4th down, made a big play. Guardian Cat made a play, but seeing him out there, and that's where I think the whole issue is outside of the coaching aspect.
Now I think it like solely falls on the coaching. Like right now with Raheem, clock management was horrible. Not taking a timeout when you should take a timeout, and taking a timeout when you shouldn't have. You should have just let the clock run and make them hurry to kick the field goal. Not take a timeout so they can get their whole shit situated. Everybody in the ballpark knows what they're gonna do. Your offense, at no point is Michael Penix in this offense going to lead them on a 30-second miracle run to get into field goal with a guy you just picked up off the streets. I don't know if that guy can make a 35-yarder. Haven't seen it. And apparently no other team did because it's week, fucking 10? He finally gets picked up. So I don't know what the game plan thinking is that. But if they have the confidence in Mike to do it at the end of the game, why the fuck didn't you have the confidence in him to do it at the second half when you actually got the stop you needed and could have got field position? That doesn't make any sense. I mean, I get Raheem was probably like a little shell shot that he didn't have the Halo board to stare at. He didn't know his bearings, his surroundings. But also, I mean, holy damn. Like, the offense as a whole is a frustrating part. It is every week it's the same stagnant offense where it's dysfunctional and there's no adjustments. If your receiving core is terrible, which it is, and Darnell Mooney is playing banged up, hurt, and he doesn't look like himself, well, you don't have anyone else, a speed guy on this roster, because you just cut the other speed guy you had, because the problem, had a problem with the fucking receiver coach getting fired. Man, that receiving coach, the offense is still the same.
What's your thought on Michael Penix?
My thought on Michael Penix, this is my thought. If the play calling is like not as elite, this now makes me think that he's going to have to be a system quarterback. Like, can he still be a top 15 quarterback? Sure, but dude, I'm not buying into him being the guy. At the amount of throws he just misses because of his whack ass mechanics, his footwork is terrible, man. It's terrible. He's throwing across his body. It looks all herky jerky. He never steps up in the pocket. Never. Granted, the O-line is beat up and he's getting some pressure on him, but not like some of those plays today. He could just step up in the pocket and try to look downfield. And then especially that, I mean, dude, they didn't convert a third down play today. They're 8 for like 33 on third downs the last 3 games. And all these throws on these third downs generally fall on Mike, just throwing it wide. That pass to Steals. Dude's wide ass open. He threw it 5 yards behind him.
All of that can be true, but I feel like the blame getting thrown on Penix right now is insane. I think that's
share blame, dude. It's got to be share blame.
I mean, sure.
But we're benefit the doubt if he was the successor after Matt, but this franchise has been in this putrid quarterback state with Mariota, the shitter, Kirk,
Taylor Heineke.
And like, dude, I don't give a shit about developing a quarterback right now. I want to win. And you're not winning for me. You have a losing record. You're 0-3 in OT games. You can't get it done.
I mean, yeah, I mean, all of that can be true, but guys, we're talking about a quarterback who just made his 12th start in the NFL.
He's 25. He's not 20 or 21 coming out of 3 years of college where he like showed promise. He was in college for 6 years.
Yeah, but I think
to a point where the quarterback at 25, I'm expecting you to like those are your prime years coming up. And we're missing throws. We're missing wide-ass open throws. Now, granted, I don't want to put it all on him because receiving core is bad and the play
it's terrible. It's terrible. We have one reliable receiver. We have Drake London. Outside of that, there's nothing. If Darnell Mooney catches that ball, we will be having a completely different discussion now. If Kyle Pitts,
we still have to get 20 yards to get to the in field goal position. There.
It's more doable than where you were with the time that ran off the clock too. That was an important part of that catch. Like you lost 5 seconds.
Raheem uses a timeout even there. He might have just tried to get to the line.
I'll give y'all another scenario, another little Raheem Morris decision. Why did we take the ball first in overtime?
He was like me. He didn't know the new OT rules. That is, I mean, granted, for me, like I think that's acceptable. But as a NFL head coach who also just spent our first round draft pick, that's going to be top 5 next year, doesn't know the new OT rules. It's pretty god awful.
Yeah, it's that like all the other stuff is really, really, really bad. I don't want to like make it sound like this like they're like acceptable. What is the one reason that you're taking the ball first? It's like that's like overtime rules 101. Like you want your defense out there, they get a stop, boom, a field goal wins it. Because what if Bradley Pittion's punt went like 30 yards and they got the ball at like the 50? They needed to get 20 yards and boom, they're in field goal range. I mean, they wound up scoring a touchdown regardless, but still, it was like we knew the game was over as soon as Pinion punted it like 36 yards.
Y'all are terrible in special teams. Y'all are god awful.
Today was
all year. It's been bad all year, but today it was like another world bad. And they got the ball at the 50 every time. They just couldn't get downfield and have coverage. And then when we get a kickoff, it gets hit at the 20, even especially with these new rules where we're supposed to at least get from the 30. Somehow we're going even farther back than you would get it at the old rules. Like I don't understand what they do with the special teams. Clearly they don't give a shit about special teams because if they actually had a nice special teams unit, they win that game.
And other ones this year too. Y'all would have beat us. Y'all would have beat New England if you had a better special teams unit.
Look at the Tampa Bay game, week 1. If we had better special teams, we could have won that one. Yeah. I mean, that's what's the most frustrating is because like we can kiss the playoffs goodbye. I mean, like there was like, even this morning waking up, we weren't going to make the playoffs. Rattle off a couple wins, see what happens. But we are losing so many close games. Think about it. Think about it truly. Think about the Bucs game week 1. We lost that one. If we win that, Think about the Patriots game last week. Win that one. Win today. Then we're 6-3, just like that. Just like that.
But you can't get it done with a guy that you got running the team.
No, we absolutely cannot. We absolutely cannot. And I think I think his ass should stay in Germany. I mean, like keep him over there. Maybe Ted Lasso him and have him, coach a Bundesliga team over there because it's not working out in football. So maybe he can do the Ted Lasso approach and start coaching some footy. Who knows?
I just don't understand how the Falcons offense dies in the second half of all their games. They're like, you guys play like rock stars.
They had 3 good drives today, and they're lucky because they're usually dog shit in the red zone too. They somehow miraculously scored 3 touchdowns in the red zone.
Mm-hmm. That's
mainly because Algier was able to run the damn ball, and which also brings to another point of fact. And I don't understand why they do this. They were running the ball well. Like Algier was averaging 5 yards. Bijan was averaging like 4.5. That third quarter where they had like 4 drives stall out, they didn't run the ball. They had one drive where they dropped Mike back 3 times and he was chunking the ball everywhere.
Yeah. And it's another thing to talk about our offense real quick is there's so many games. Like we could have iced this game multiple times. If we could have put together a touchdown drive, it's over with. You know what game that's familiar with? That's pretty familiar to the 49ers game. Because how many opportunities in the second half when we were playing against the Niners? It was like, if we drive down here, we get 7, we're in control of the game. All right, defense gets another stop. Hey, if we can drive down the field and get 7, we could take control of the game. Get a stop. Happens again. Get a stop. Happens again. Game's over. We lose. We score 10 points.
I mean, I'm going to say something. This might be a hot take, but I mean, it doesn't matter in the end. But we paid $180 million for a quarterback, and we spent an 8th overall pick for a quarterback, and we still don't have a quarterback. Like, how does those 2 things happen? And you still don't have your guy. I would say maybe we look for next year's draft, but we don't have our first round pick.
You're calling for a new quarterback.
Now
you're calling for another quarterback already. Like you're ready to get back to the drawing board.
No progression in his game. It's a week to week basis. It's the same damn thing.
All right, Ron. Here's what I want you to do. You to go back.
It's enough.
I want you to go back, and I want you to pull up some 2008 box scores. I want you to pull up some 2008 and look at Matt Ryan's box scores, and you tell me this is the best quarterback in our franchise history. It took him some time too.
Compared to 2025, we're talking about different games.
We're talking about different games. Dude, the quarterback play in the Twins was better than it's ever been. We had
won games though.
We had
Ryan
guys
went to the playoff rookie year.
He also had a competent coach. They also didn't give up 323 rushing yards in the game. They didn't let Jonathan Taylor just set all kinds of different damn records with a defensive head coach.
Was it stupid? Michael Turner was 3rd in MVP that year. They handed the damn ball off.
Yeah.
They don't hand the ball off.
All right. Well, thank you, Ryan. Thank you for joining. Appreciate that. That was an awesome segment there. But yeah, Falcons lose to the Colts 31-25. We'll see you soon, Ryan.
We should make this a weekly segment, like Ryan's take on the current state of the Falcons.
Say before I go, it's not that I don't believe in Mike. Like, obviously, I would give him the next year to figure out if it's a new regime, new OC. But I'm just saying, if you want to win, and like I do, time's clicking, man. I can't take any more of this shit. All right, peace.
All right, see you, Ryan. All right, well, good talk there about the Atlanta Falcons, or bad talk, whatever you want to say it was. But Caleb, your Patriots, they beat the Bucks 28-23. Huge game, 5-0 on the road for the Pats. How we feeling?
Feeling like it's 2007, dude. Maybe no, I'm kidding. It's really nice time to be a New England Patriots fan. Drake May continues to do it over and over again. And listen, here's the most impressive part about Drake May's game. It's not that he's this good throwing the ball deep. It's not that he makes all these plays. It's not that he turns the ball over very low, even though he did today. It's that he's getting hit more than anybody else in the NFL and doing all this stuff. Like, he's taking some quarterback pressures. The offensive line is terrible. He has the 2nd most sacks in the league, I think, this year. And he is the leader in MVP odds with all that against him. Impressive throws on 3rd down throughout the entire game. The throw to Stephon Diggs on 4th down to end the half was a wow throw. The deep ball at the end of the game was a wow throw. And he continues to, like, the same magic that he had against the Falcons last week. Like, it's 3rd and 12. He's going to take a sack at some point. We're behind the chains. Him and McDaniels figure it out. And one thing that the New England Patriots do that's the Falcons apparently do not do, according to Ryan, they stick with the run, man. Like, it looks like an orchestrated scheme of offense that you can kind of salt away games with. And I think it's a great way to win. Like, they're bringing in the fullback, they're doing play actions with Drake May. And I'll be honest with you guys, I had the thought today, and I try not to drink the Kool-Aid too much, but just seeing Drake May operate today, okay, talking about like making checks at the line, cannon plays and getting everything set, pointing out mics, and also like play action, cool, calm, under duress, delivering the football. I haven't seen many other players like that play like that in quite some time. Like, that is elite football play. Like, I think you're talking about Matt Stafford, the way he's playing right now, Drake May. I mean, it looks Brady-ish. It really does. And the reason why you say Brady-ish is because he is the standard for stuff like that. But there ain't many quarterbacks playing football at that level. And Josh McDaniels is demanding as an offense coordinator too. So, like, you got to be a smart guy to operate. And he's doing it and doing it extremely well. Huge win. And Travion Henderson also, not just Drake May. Henderson broke out, went off. This is a case in point that we obviously have been trusting Ramondre for a while, but I think, Travion was going to be somebody that came on later in the year. And Vrabel said it before the game today, like, the season starts now. Like, this is when it's fun because you're actually, like, in relevant territory. You're just trying to get off on the right foot at the beginning of the year. But they're 2 games up in the division, and they finally have their skill players humming at elite level. Like, we scored 3 touchdowns all with rookies today.
The 4th and goal call right before half. I mean, if that's not, I trust my quarterback with every fiber of my being, then I don't know what is, because that's they could have knotted the game out right there. Could have went into the half, a tie ball game on the road against a really good Tampa Bay Buccaneers team, and they decided to go for it. I think that's awesome. Heck of a throw, heck of a catch by Stephon Diggs. And I mean, y'all are dang good, man. One of my favorite stats for this team, with this New England team, 5-0 on the road. 5-0 on the road. There's not, I mean, I would bet my life on it. There's not another NFL team that's undefeated on the road this late in the season. It's quite impressive because it's a good Tampa Bay team. It's a really good Tampa Bay team. They got some injuries. Bucky Irvin didn't play. I talked about that when we talked about this game last week, hoping he could play regardless. I mean, really, really, really good win. Really good win. Y'all are for real.
And Mike Vrabel and Drake May are not going anywhere anytime soon, folks.
Yeah, huge win. And I think also, like, he threw that pick when it was 21-16, I think, which was, big. And shout out to the defense. They clutched up against Baker Mayfield and the fellas. Okay, let's talk about some other games. Giants beat the Bears 24-20. Or sorry, Bears beat the Giants 24-20. Giants had control of this game the whole time pretty much until it was 17-7. Jackson Dart had already ran for 2 touchdowns. They call a run play. He gets inside the Bears 20, fumbles it, gets a concussion. He's out. Then then it's 17-10. The Giants are at the 1-yard line. The Bears 1-yard line. 4th and goal. They decide to kick it with Young Hoku for an 18-yarder, which is crazy. They had no clue he was on the Giants. And they get a penalty on the defense for too many men on the field. They decline it, take the points. Greg Olson was not having that on the broadcast. And sure enough, came back to bite them. Bears win 24-20. Big run by Caleb Williams there at the end, and Giants have lost 11 in a row on the road.
Yeah, the exact opposite of the Patriots stat right here. Yeah, the Bears are legit, man. Caleb Williams is legit. I mean, he's had his fair share of doubters over the last year and some change. But, when the guy has time, when the guy has weapons, and he can, use his athleticism, and he's a dang good quarterback. Huge win for the Bears, because for the majority of this game, it looked like Jackson Dart was going to be able to just get it done, and the Giants are going to win. And they're able to, keep chopping and pull it out. Big win, because their division is so loaded. NFC North, like, you got to win these games. When the Giants are coming into your building, you have to win that game if you want to have a chance to win the division, have a chance to the wild card, and they were able to get it. So a huge win for them.
This is a coaching league, dog, and you can clearly prove it with just Ben Johnson being able to just step right into the Chicago Bears, who were a dumpster fire last year, and get this thing righted. I mean, these are the kind of games that they would have lost last year. And I hate it for New York, honestly, because I think have played decent football at times this year. They just cannot find a way to win games at the end. Jackson Arnold. He's not even close to that guy. Jackson Dart is a relevant football player. He had a hell of a day today. I think he had 4 touchdowns, getting it done on the ground and in the air. But
2 touchdowns, but then he got a concussion, and then he was out. So Russell Wilson had to come in there. But yeah, no, he is. And it's rough though, that the Giants, I mean, he's hurt. Gadabo's out. Neighbors is out. Like, their big guys are just going down like flies. But here's a game. I had the Bills as one of my best bets last week, and I said I don't know what the stats are in Miami. I don't think they play good, but I don't care. Should have cared. Dolphins beat the Bills 30-13. And listen to this. I saw this stat on the game started out. This is how the game started out for the Dolphins. They had a false start on the first play of the game. Then they had a 1-yard throw. Then they had an incompletion, and then Tua threw a pick. And then still somehow they won this game by 17 points. If you look at the box score, it doesn't look like the Dolphins did anything great. Turnover margin, they had +1 on there. Devon Achane, 174 yards, 2 tutties. But, man, Bills falling back from the Patriots right now, Caleb.
This was a huge win for us in the division for Miami-Dade. Still won. They continue to beat teams when they're not supposed to. Like, you would have thought they would have went over for their way out. And Mike McDaniel apparently still has his job, so maybe there's something to be said. Maybe he'll be back next year, especially they keep rounding wins off. This is huge, though. Like, just not only to get to 3-7 for Miami, but to beat a division opponent who was like a Super Bowl favorite at the beginning of the year. The Bills got some questions that they've got to get answered, because this is kind of when the rubber hits the road in your season. And if they're sputtering now, they better try and get hot very quickly. If not, this is not going to end the way that people up in upstate New York want this to go.
Yeah, coming off a big win against the Chiefs too last week.
They're down 2. They're fighting for a wild card spot at this point, 6-3 in the AFC.
Yeah. Insane. Okay, Ravens beat the Vikings 27-19. Ravens defense on the rise right now. They've been playing really well. Had 2 interceptions on J.J. McCarthy today. Shout out Malachi Starks.
Shout out 9. Shout out 9. He came to play today. Oh, 9.
It's not.
Did y'all not see that? The J.J. McCarthy, like my alter ego, 9. Yeah, 9 was ready.
Got it. But not a great game for Lamar and Derrick Henry, but had a couple big plays. But their kicker went 4 for 5. So big win for Ravens. Again, they're coming. They are coming.
Oh yeah. They absolutely are. And the Steelers game, is that tonight or is that Monday night?
Tonight.
That's tonight. Yeah, they have to win. They got to win this game. Like, it is put up or shut up time for Pittsburgh. That lead in your division is going to evaporate if you keep not playing to your standard. They have to win. And if you don't think that Mike Tomlin is getting that message out to his boys, you're mistaken. Because I don't know really where I was going with that, but they got to win. They have to absolutely win.
Yeah, no, and just obviously we can't talk about the Steelers Chargers because it'll we're not going to get there. But I watched the documentary on Aaron Rodgers the other night, the 3-part series on Netflix. I don't know if you guys have seen that, but that guy actually was doing all that ayahuasca stuff, and it was it was a pretty insane little rituals things he had going on in there. So all about finding the spirit. And I've done some crazy things too. So that was wild to see. Okay, Jets beat the Browns 27-20. Only thing I know about this game is Caleb texted us at half and said Justin Fields was 3 for 5 for 5 yards and a pick 6 at half. And he finished the game 6 for 11, 54 yards, and threw a touchdown. So, basically 2 touchdown passes. And Breece Hall had a rushing and receiving touchdown, and the Jets have won 2 in a row. Caleb.
Look, this guy threw for 54 yards by the end of this thing, 6 for 11 for 54. His touchdown was a 42-yard touchdown. Okay, so do some math. He went 5 for 10 for 11 yards outside of his 1 touchdown in this game. This is an NFL quarterback, by the way. And this was a flat route to Breece Hall. Like, it wasn't like, I'm assuming it was a little check down style here, and the guy just made a play. But you go look at their scoring drive; they're just handing it off to Breece Hall over and over and over and over again, or Justin Fields is running it himself. But it's improbable the Jets won this game. I think they returned a kick. That kind of sets the difference out. But the Browns are an embarrassment for losing to this Jets team.
Yeah. Okay, the Saints beat the Panthers 17-7. Only took Tyler Shaw 2 starts to get his first win, so congrats to there. But what we need to talk about is the massive collapse in the fourth quarter by the Jacksonville Jaguars today. We're up 30-10, and the Texans go on a 26-0 run in the fourth quarter with Davis Mills as their quarterback. Jake, what happened?
It happened. It is. So the Falcons started my day off at 9:30 this day really, really bad. And, obviously my afflictions towards the Jaguars, like, pale in comparison to the Falcons, but I still really want the Jags to win. And this would have been a big one too. With the Colts winning this morning, but dude, that fourth quarter, they couldn't, there's a lot of blame to go around. I'll just say it like that. Trevor, you talk about, Ryan was talking about, not having quarterbacks, progress and take steps. Dude, Trevor Lawrence is still the quarterback he was his second year in the league. He took that step from his rookie year to his second season. He is still that guy. He has not taken any steps. The offensive line is terrible. He was getting just harassed the entire game. He got sacked 5 times. And, on the last drive for the Jags, so they have like the best kicker in the league, Cam Little. I mean, he can make like 70-yard field goals. He has kicked a 68-yarder last week. It was basically when we got the ball back like 30 seconds. I was like, okay, just get it to the 50. Just get it to the 50, and there's a chance. Well, Trevor, I forget who it was. I think it was maybe Parker Washington, hit him on the sideline for like to get it to like the other 40, like 35, 40. It's like, oh, there's game. Boom. There's laundry on the field, illegal hands to the face, back it up. That was a killer. Yeah, I mean, that was one of the worst losses I can remember since maybe like week 2 where the Jags lost to the Bengals. I mean, because that was also another really bad loss. The Jags just can't beat backup quarterbacks, it seems like. As Davis Mills beat them. Jake Browning is 2-0 all time against the Jaguars. But yeah, this team's not good. This team is, not having, I'll say this, not having Brian Thomas Jr., and also not having Travis Hunter, and your number one receiver being Jacoby Myers, who you just got this week, him and Parker Washington, it makes it a little bit difficult on the quarterback. But Trevor, it is year 5. Year 5.
You also have a 20-point lead in the 4th.
Yeah, seriously, like just ice the game because ETN was doing, some things. Bashal Tootin, 4 carries. Not sure why that wasn't more. Defense just tucked tail and died in the second half. I mean, really the 4th quarter. But yeah, it's a bad one. You don't see many like this in the NFL unless it's the Denver Broncos. They do it like every week. But besides them, you don't
Street
see
said
it.
the other night on the or he said on game day on Saturday, he said Georgia was the Denver Broncos of the college football. And I was like, oh, I once said that. Okay. Afternoon games, just wrapping up a bunch of smoke shows. Seahawks smoked the Cardinals 44-22. That game was like 35-0 to start. Seahawks defense just put up 1 million fantasy points on me in one of my leagues. The Rams beat the 49ers. Shout out, had Rams -6. Bang. Matthew Stafford throws 4 touchdowns. They get the revenge for that tough loss on Thursday night a couple weeks ago. And then the Lions smoked the Commanders, which you kind of saw coming. I don't think a lot of people thought Commanders would hang in, but Donald Trump was there. Okay, went on the broadcast, got 6-7 a couple times. Anything from the afternoon games, fellas?
Man, not a lot. Not a lot outside of the Seattle Seahawks. Are insane. Are absolutely insane. I feel really bad for Commanders fans because just coming off of NFC Championship game appearance last year, their expectations were through the roof, and they're 3-7. Like that's got to sting. Lions are like a wagon. The Rams are really, 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 really good. Something to watch. Devontae Adams left this game early with a little back injury, so monitor that a little bit.
He's been huge for them.
Yeah, he's been absolutely humongous.
Scores like every touchdown, feels like.
Yeah.
Caleb.
Biggest takeaway from the afternoon for me, yeah, the Rams continue to roll. Matthew Stafford and Sam Darnold are playing at elite levels. And that's going to be a fun division race coming down the stretch.
And San Fran at 6-4. I mean, they're not that far behind. I mean, obviously they don't have the tiebreaker, losing today, but 7-2, 7-2, and 6-4. I mean, this is best division in football. You could possibly say them in the North.
Them. AFC West is tight too. I mean, there's some things going on and some the playoff races coming up. It's going to get fun here in November and December. Okay. So get into our players of the week here. Last week, Jake won. So the standings now at 4, Caleb, me 3, and Jake 3. So I'm going to be going first since Caleb's in the lead and Jake won last week. That's how it works, people. Okay. I said it earlier. I talked when we were talking about this game, but I got to go with Diego Pavia. 377 passing yards, 3 touchdowns, 25 for 33. So great completion percentage. And then the 112 on the ground on 18 carries and 1 touchdown. Again, I was ready I had a Diego Pavia fraud graphic already saved in my phone, ready to go, trying to, be ahead in the content game. And he made me eat my dust just like he's done a bunch of times here. I'll show you guys. I had it ready to
Man, that would have hit.
I had it ready to go. He's my player of the week now. Just like I used to talk about Jeff Sims, who did not get enough love last week on those votes, but I'm going to go with Pavia.
All right. Well, I think this one's easy, and I don't want to spoil anything, maybe talk my way out of a fantasy win this week, but I do have Jake going against me in the Dynasty League this week. And one of my players went off on both of his teams, his actual favorite team and the fantasy team. Jonathan Taylor, 32 carries, 244 yards on the ground, 3 touchdowns, and he also had 42 receiving yards in this game. 50 points on fantasy today. 50. Big 50 bomb. In a week where I've been extremely injured in that league, like I've got Joe Burrow, Joe Mixon, Tyreek Hill, Ramondre Stevenson. Now it's going to look even worse because I've got Kincaid and Jackson Darnold on that team. You know, we're going to change our name to the hospital here in a second, but for Jonathan Taylor, he's given me some hope for my fantasy season, so I got to give him Player of the Week.
Yeah, that was brutal because I think I would have got you. I mean, like if he just has like a normal week, like I think I got you. But I mean, geez, Louise, that was also who I was about to say for my Player of the Week. So like, kind of, you started saying that, and I started scrambling over here. But I think I got a good one. I mean, there's just no way this. I mean, Jonathan Taylor's going to win this. I mean, like there's just no, you can't stack anything against that. But let me give it to Devon Achane. He had a really good game today. 22 carries, $174 on the ground, and 2 touchdowns. Added a little bit in there, had another 6 catches for 51 yards. So over 200 yards on the 28 touches, 2 touchdowns. The Miami Dolphins are Devon Achane. They are him, and they go as far as he goes. And if he doesn't show up, they're not going to win. But if he shows up, they can beat just about anyone, truly. And I don't say that lightly because the Miami Dolphins have shown that when he is active, he can really get it done. So great game for Achane.
Yeah, he had 40 fantasy points. I have him in one league. Shout out to him for that. Okay, before we get into our deep thoughts, I did put out the story today for any potential fan questions. And just just to be nice to Wizzo and Dave, who did slide up and say something. Wizzo, we've had plenty of 6-7 segments on the show. And Dave Haynes King, I've said nice things about him winning the Heisman before. So those are just shout out. Thanks for responding. But
we are literally the most pro Haynes King podcast on the open market right now. What did Dave say?
He just said Haynes King Heisman.
Okay. All right. Well, we've all said he should be in New York. What did Wizzo say? He just say
I want a 6-7 segment.
Okay. Well, like Garrison said earlier, Jonathan Vilma 6-7 President Trump twice. It was in like one of the crazier things I've ever seen in my entire life. The president of the United States is next to you, and you're 6-7ing him.
Did he get it? Did he catch on to it?
I don't think Trump had any idea what he was talking about. Yeah. He went back for seconds.
But I did want to shout out Eric Borges, former coworker of mine, did want to ask real quick. And he said, is Jimbo Fisher going to get a call for a head coach? And if so, from who? Caleb, what do you think?
Yes, the answer is yes. He's going to get a call from Auburn and LSU at some point, probably, just to vet him. I'm not saying the LSU is going to hire him, but there's boosters at Auburn that want him and are connected to him that want him back in college football. And he's made it known that he wants to be back in college football. So, yes, somebody will call him. He may even be in conversations for the Arkansas job. Nobody knows about it, but he will land somewhere in the Southeast, I think. There's a good chance of it for next year.
Dude, living in Florida, I have a lot of my friends are Florida State fans. And yesterday, the big discussion around the table was, would y'all take Jimbo back? And every single one of them was like, absolutely, yes, get Jimbo Fisher back in Tallahassee. So, yeah, I do think he's getting a job. He's getting a job.
If Pete Nakos is reporting that he's on Auburn's hot board and he's like the number 2 or 3 candidate, Auburn's not the only group of people that are seeing that and understanding who that is and what that name represents for your program. Like, he's probably going to be back in the game. Okay. If Gruden gets some fucking burn, you tell me Jimbo Fisher can't get burned?
Yeah, true. We'll see what happens. Okay, and you can take a cheap contract too. You know, he's already getting paid $1 million or $70 million. Just get him on a little minimum wage contract, and boom, here we go. Okay, let's wrap it up with our deep thoughts of the week. I will start off, and this is just something I want to talk about. I was talking to Trey earlier today, and we were going back and forth about this. So I just kind of want you guys, it's kind of like a question, I guess, but I know you guys saw the reports. Emmanuel Clase got in trouble for gambling. Just another one in the books, it seems like. That's been happening. Obviously, the Chauncey Billups, Terry Rozier thing. And me and Trey were kind of going back and forth because he was saying that it's really the sports book's fault that enable this. Maybe he didn't say fault, but he said the sports book enabled this. And, as a pro, gambling and a sports podcast, I just want to say I disagree. I think it's more of, yes, there's sports books that have been around forever, and we've had situations like this before, but this seems like more of just don't put yourself in situations with the mafia situation. To me, don't, put yourself where you make millions of dollars, and don't put yourself in situations where you have to rig a game or die I guess, is the scenario. It just seems like they're putting themselves in really bad spots. And sure, the gambling is, and sports books are huge, but these players just seem to not be happy with the millions they get, I guess. I don't know. Just one of you guys' thoughts.
I think that's fair. I think what you're saying is very fair, but I also think that Trey brings up a really good point because you cannot turn on the television without seeing this segment brought to you by DraftKings. This is brought to you by ESPN Bet. This is brought to you by FanDuel. This is brought to you by Hard Rock Sports Bet. It's everywhere, and it is. I just think it's kind of ruining sports in my honest opinion because you just can't. Like I gamble, but it's just you can't go anywhere with it, and everyone is like, hey, check out this parlay. Dude, I was at the Bricks Tap House yesterday. Y'all know about the Bricks Tap House. And there was a girl there that like I'm friends with, and she started talking about her parlay. And like, I'm not sexist, and if you're a woman listening to this, you can gamble. But that was the moment I was like, wow, like this is a thing. Like this is a thing. She was talking about she had Nate Frazier anytime touchdown. She had some like overpassing yards. She had Vandy money line and the under. I mean, she was going through all these things. It's like, what you're talking about. And that is, I don't know. I think that might be like, you ever seen The Big Short where he's like, there's a bubble. That was my, there's a bubble moment because women are gambling.
It's an interesting point. I think it's funny how ESPN Bet dissolved itself like a week before all of this stuff comes out about gambling in baseball, who is also being shown exclusively by ESPN. It's got nasty. I'm still convinced that Shohei Ohtani was gambling. Honestly, I'll come out there and say it. I think they covered that up maybe a little bit. It just smells too rotten to be that case. Even if the guy did do it, there's no way Shohei didn't know a tad. I just think it muddles with too much of what we're talking about. Like, there's proof now on paper that they threw a ball in a baseball game twice, both of them. Like, how many other times is this happening and nobody's catching it? And this is becoming much, much more common that we're finding things out like this. And the money's being moved in nasty ways in this big rings. And there's way too many influential people involved in these things. Like, it's bad enough that Terry Rozier, you can't trust him to put out good tape every game. Like, everybody saw the low light reel of his. He was just completely selling. 1,000,000% was selling. And then 2 weeks later, we get this whole thing with a all-star, like on track to be a Hall of Fame closer in Class A.
Yeah. I mean, just don't put yourself in those situations. I feel like that's my thing. How do these players specifically get caught up in this? Just being stupid?
Well, it all
What does dollars matter? That's what they were giving per pitch. $7,000. $7,000.
So here's how my interpretation on the story is, at least with the NBA situation, is they were rigging those, like they'll invite these guys to go play cards and then they'll rig those games against them and get them down tons and tons and tons and tons and tons of money. And then the mafia tells them, all right, well, instead of you paying me back the $800,000 million that you owe me, go out tomorrow and make your first pitch be a ball, or go out tomorrow and make sure your points unders hit. And I'll tell you, I forget who said this. This was not my idea. Just for the record. This is how I feel like sports books should be addressing this. And I'm very interested in y'all's takes on this. If sports books would just get rid of the points unders, like Terry Rozier under assists, Terry Rozier under points, under whatever. If sportsbooks got rid of that and it was you could just take the overs, like for Terry Rozier to have a good game, for whatever this to be, then there's an opportunity to like kind of get away from all this. Now, will they do it? There is a better chance that pigs are flying in hell right now, but that is the only like fix, I feel like.
It's an interesting take. Yeah. I mean, there's just no way it would ever happen, but I do think that's interesting. I don't know. I don't really have too many thoughts other than like we could go into it, but it would never happen. But I guess that would stop. That could stop it. They would just have to go nuclear.
It wouldn't be the same gambling though. Like, what you would assume that every line would be up, like in a football.
Too many unders hit.
Spread would be over. Like,
well, no, the spreads can stay over under, all that. Like team over unders can stay.
You're talking about individual player prop stuff?
Player prop unders, getting rid of player prop unders, because that's what Rozier was doing. He was taking his under points, his under assists, things like that.
I could be in on that.
Yep. You hear us, Vegas? We're talking to you. Well, anyway, if Trey listens, he'll know we brought it up, and maybe some people supported him like I did not. So, all right, what are y'all's deep thoughts before we get out of here?
My deep thought is, one that's been heard before, but I think, after watching Memphis lose, it is a conversation we have to have again. The group of 5 automatic qualifier for the 12 seed has to go. This needs to be the last year for it, and next year they need to reassess. They need to see how else they can do it, because we can talk about, hey, we're making it fair for the group of 5. We're giving them an opportunity for everyone, yada, yada, yada. The group of 5 team, as of right now, is North Texas. Like, at least in our rankings, it's North Texas. Caleb said it was he would put James Madison in there. Our number 5 is University of Georgia. They will beat them by 50 points, and it will not even be a game. It will not be a game. You will see Ryan Puglisi play the majority of the fourth quarter if we have to play North Texas in a playoff game, and that is going to take away a spot from a good, talented team. We were talking about what if what we were talking about earlier, and Vanderbilt goes 10-2 and they don't make it, but North Texas is in. What if Georgia Tech doesn't make it to the ACC championship game? They lose to Georgia. They get snubbed. But North Texas is in, and they're going to Athens. It just brings up way too many concerns. Last year was different. Last year was different because everyone knew that Boise State was actually a good team. They were ranked inside the top 15, top 10 for the majority of the year. We saw them go to Oregon and almost pull off an upset, so we knew that team was legit. None of these group of 5 teams would stand a chance against whoever is going to be number 5, and it's going to take away a spot from a really talented team. And, that's my deep thought.
Yeah,
I
said that.
down.
You said, what did you say? The same thing, Caleb? All right, well, double deep thought. How about that? First of the year. I said on the video I made of the reaction last week that was going to be the big thing this year, because it is, exactly what you said. Boise State was already kind of up there. And I remember last year I made the video back then when I said I thought it was interesting that, they put Boise State as like a top 10 team, like in the first rankings. Like they kind of just set themselves there, and they were a good team, don't get me wrong. But it's, on one hand, whoever the 12 seed in the playoff, who, regardless if it's Boise State or, North Texas or, Vanderbilt, they're not going to win it. So at the end of the day, there's that, in my opinion. But I get being fair to the group of 5. That's why they always had like the bowl game that, the highest rank could always get in there. But I do agree, eventually this is just it's kind of silly. It's kind of like a handout. And that's why I think, and I've been saying this for a long time, that the Power 4 teams should not be playing group of 5 teams anymore. Like we've got to get rid of this notion that, like we're playing, 2 G5 teams a year, 3 G5 teams a year. Like the Big Ten likes to play all their FCS teams. Like the Power 4 needs to be playing only Power 4, and that needs to be the division itself. The group of 5 needs to have its own thing, because they're never going to win the big one, regardless of what you think. They're never going to win the national championship, and we need to just go ahead and establish that. And the SEC they're going to 9 conference games. They should have 9 conference games. They should play one against the Big Ten, one against the ACC, one against the Big 12. That's it. And every conference should just do the same thing, and we should only be playing Power 4 teams. That's where I stand on it, because you're right. I totally agree that it's silly to think like whatever they're ranked, even if they're ranked 25th, and they're just taking a spot. So anyway, I rambled there for a second.
I think you can be fair to the group of 5 and say, hey, if you have a season like Boise State did last year, you get in the playoff. Like we're not going to discriminate against you. You're going to have an opportunity, but we're not just going to hand it out. Like if we have a 9-3 group of 5 team, a 10-2 group of 5 team, I mean, what is even the point?
It's also because think about when they made this playoff, it was supposed to be the 5 highest ranked champions. Well, then all of a sudden, highest ranked conference champions. Well, then all of a sudden we went from 5 conferences to 4, and that kind of fucked it all up. Caleb.
I do like what Jake just said there, though, and I'm going to add that onto it. I had the same thing written down. I think that a cap, you have to say they're ranked higher than 15th or they have 1 loss, which I know is a tall task and a tall order. But if you're going to be a group of 5 team and you expect to compete with anybody that is in the top 11 teams of the country, you need to be for real. And I'm with you guys. North Texas or James Madison or Memphis or South Florida are not going to be able to fend off top-level talent. We've seen it. I mean, we've already seen South Florida. They're in the conversation just because we know they're probably pretty competitive, and their quarterback is one of the better ones in the country. Byron Brown went off this week, by the way. Mm-hmm. But to expect them or any other team to actually compete at the 12th spot, somebody's going to go to Ole Miss or Georgia is what's going to end up happening, or going to go to Alabama because they end up losing one of these games at the end, and they're going to have to travel to an SEC school, and it is going to be a dress-out playoff game. they can't have that on the TV ratings.
Yeah, no, I'm with you. Well, good discussion there, and first ever double deep thought. So great episode, 27 in the books. First Sunday episode in a long time. I don't know if we've ever done it like this, but glad we got this out to you on Monday. Reminder: the Deep Shot Sports Mutation, and the Deep Shot Sports Helping Pause event at Mutation Brewery on November 22nd. For Jake and Caleb, we'll see you guys on Thursday. Talk about picks and previews for the week. Deep Shot out.